Hi guys and welcome to Bomb Anime.
It's your girl Rika.
And Big Boy Sam here bringing you Kotaro Lives Alone Part 2.
So this is our last 5 episodes, guys. I really like the way this story pieces itself together, and things will happen in later episodes that relate to things that have happened earlier on that give you more context or more clarity. So in episode 7 we find out why Mizuki may have been crying earlier on in the season. She has broken up with her boyfriend that started to stalk her, and at this point is where he actually gets violent with her. Kotaro advises her to leave before things escalate. This could be in relation to his dad. He does mention later on to her to not be the reason why her boyfriend becomes the bad guy, which is extremely sad because it just goes to show you how much he's blaming himself for something that an adult has chosen to do of his own volition. No one can make you a bad guy. If you're doing bad stuff, those are the choices that you're making.
I totally agree with you, and I keep referencing this book, The Gift of Fear. Trust me guys, definitely read it. And he says the same thing, but not for the same reasons. She had to leave. The police aren't there to sort out problems. The police are there to keep the peace at best. And other times they don't even do that. But the people's safety is not the main concern. And Kotaro was right. He knows where you live. He can come at any time. What is a restraining order gonna do? And the police themselves even said it. There's not enough evidence, even though her face is beaten up. Her bouncing was the correct thing to do. And for anyone out there going through something similar, if you can, dip. If you can't, find people that can help you be safe. It's as simple as that. And I like the way that this anime decided to tell this story. It didn't need to show you too much. It didn't need to tell you too much, but the impact was there and the feelings were there.
Unfortunately, it's not as simple as that. Stalking seems to be a problem where victims cannot get help. Country after country, it's like it's just not taken seriously until something terrible happens. Kotaro's also had experience with that. He has a restraining order against his dad. His dad still showed up to the orphanage and did not care. His dad still went and hired an investigator and did not care to get access to him. And this is what stalkers are like. Even if you do leave and run away, they will still try to track you down.
The rules only work for people who follow the rules. That
exactly.
is it. If you don't follow the rules,
true.
then what's the point of giving them rules? Bruv, seriously, if you are in this, get some help and stay safe. That's the message I'm taking away from this one.
The situation where Kotaro was picking leaves in the forest, I don't know where he was, and he came across 3 children who were malnourished. They had no parents sort of around, and the oldest child was very much angry at his parents. He was at the stage where he wanted time for himself. He didn't want to be the adult anymore in the situation. He wanted peace. And they were living by themselves, and he was confronting Kotaro with the situation that they're in, and Kotaro was saying, no, you can't say this about my mom. He's still holding on to all of this hope for his parents, that they're going to come back, that they're going to love him, that they're going to be normal parents and care for him. And this child was very much at the stage where he knew that his parents did not care and would not care. And we saw those children get taken away by Child Protective Services, and also got context from Kotaro himself where he was in a similar situation. We found out that his mom actually left the house with him in it before he went into care. This obviously explains why he doesn't know that she's dead. He's also had this experience with Child Protective Services where they've taken him out of the house and put him into care, and he watched that happen to other kids right in front of him.
Yeah, this is also another case of right actions, wrong reasons. So his sense of duty and nobility is completely warped because of his influences of Tono-saman and other things. Also, he's in a slightly better situation than most people in his situation, in the sense that he has money, he has a safe roof over his head, but because of his neglect, he's learnt to be self-sufficient. So given the right tools, he's actually thriving. Unfortunately, not everyone's like that, and it's a shame that he can't see it from the other side. For someone with such high perception, he can't see that he's actually still in a victim state because he so badly wants to pull himself out of that victim state and not be seen as a victim. It's very tough watching this because you see him doing all the right things. He can cook for himself. He's very self-sufficient. He's very independent. He even knew to go to school. People like that who are neglected, school is the last thing on their mind. School is the last thing on their mind because they're obviously trying to survive. So I get that. This anime is just tough in general. Some of the things that they're hitting, that stalking, abusive relationship, the way they did it, it was so matter of fact. Homeless kids they're not afraid to show you the world as it is without making it cutesy or funny. Like, there was no humor here. I don't want to do this. He left for 2 hours with his 2 siblings screaming and crying the whole time while eating when they found him. And I can't be mad at him for that. It's a selfish action, I agree. But how can you be mad at a kid being a kid who's been forced to look after kids? Yeah, well done, guys. You lot produced a banger here.
And also, I think that what they did with having this older child and showing how he was acting versus the way that Kotaro was acting, it was showing that this is a process and everybody's process. Actually, this anime does it a lot of times. Everyone is at their own stage of this process and it doesn't run the same way. This is the first anime that I've watched where I really feel that children seriously act like children. And even though Kotaro speaks in a strange way, he still acts the way some kids will act that are going through traumatic events. We also had the tenant, Lady Take, who saw that Kotaro was keeping hold of these gloves, and she immediately recognized what these gloves were because she had a mother who couldn't bear to touch her, and in order to touch her, to give her a bath, to wash her hair, to put her clothes on, she wore gloves because her child disgusted her. And Kotaro went through the exact same thing. The difference was he wanted to hold onto those gloves, and Lady Take wanted him to get rid of them because of how despicable it was. And Shin stepped in and said, look, this is not for you to decide. This is for him to decide because he's in his own process. Yes, you may want to throw those gloves away because of how it made you feel, but this is all he has left of his mother, and this is what he needs to do to be okay. And you've got no right to say anything. And I like the way Shin constantly steps up. He did the same with the investigator, telling him to mind his own business about Kotaro's past, because if Kotaro does not want to talk about it, you have no right to dig into it. And he also did the same thing with the mom who was trying to get her daughter to go play with Kotaro, to stop using him to make herself feel better. He is a massive advocate for Kotaro, and he always makes sure that we know, the audience and the characters, that just because you're going through a similar thing doesn't mean that you know how someone feels.
The gloves. One person saw it as a rejection of their mother's love, and the other one is keeping it as a keepsake, as the hope of their mother's return. And it's a tough one. And yeah, you guys, I'm talking to you here. Would you be able to act like Kotaro is acting in the situation that he's in? Remember, he's a 4-year-old. The older kid with the other 2 children was slightly older. He looked about 10 maybe. Lady Take is at least 30. So she's had time to dwell on her past and kind of decompartmentalize and process. He's at the stage where he hasn't even processed yet. He's in action mode. He's constantly acting towards his goal of becoming stronger and buying a house big enough for all his people and so on and so forth. He hasn't sat down to think, is this normal? Because to him it is. Same thing, different perspectives. Right actions, wrong reasons. It's such a well put together analogy of the human condition.
And also, you realize how much episode 1 meant to Kotaro when Shin just casually washed his hair. We saw him like sort of jump, and Shin was like, what's the problem? I'm just washing your hair. He had not been physically touched like that by an adult that wasn't repulsed by him. So I do believe that the more love that he gets from all of these strangers is the more perspective he'll start to have. And he's still constantly waiting for these adults to abandon him.
Moving on, I want to talk about Dr. Oba. What a bloody angel. Like, seriously. It's a shame that it took something horrible to happen for him to realise to do this. But granted, it's not his job. He's there to fix teeth. But the fact that he took it upon himself to be a beacon of light in the society and actually figure out what's going on with these kids and care about their well-being. Look at his personality. His personality's not cut out for this life, fam. He's deadpan, he's straight, he talks to you like it's an interrogation, but he cares. And sometimes that's all these kids need. I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Omar. You're the real OG, fam.
It is actually his job.
Go on.
Now, it's not his job to spend an extra 30 minutes talking to the child. It is actually part of his job. At least here in England, I'm not sure what it's like in other countries, but there is such a thing as dental neglect, and dentists are supposed to look out for it in children. They can get social services involved.
Oh, get in. I didn't know that. Cheers for that information, Ruka.
But he is going above and beyond by talking to them and giving them a place to sound off and a safe place. That little girl really needed someone to listen to her. So what did you think of Nita and her influence in the tail end of this season?
Rage, murderous rage. I am so sorry. The fact that she did that, I was not happy at all. I was like, who the hell do you think you are? You just waltzed into the man's yard, not even tell him that you're coming in the first place. Come and stay over for a few days. I'm staying for a few days. That was her words. And then you want to come and take over Kotaro's care and then make it sound like Kotaro is a burden. And then she hid away the leaflet telling them about the entertainment day. Oh my days, I was boiling the whole way.
I don't think she was wrong.
Rage, murderous rage. Choose your next words carefully.
Now, of course, I have feelings for Kotaro and children, real children that are like him. But I do understand what she was trying to do. She wasn't trying to be a bad person, and she didn't leave Kotaro actually abandoned. She took over. She took him to the bathhouse. She was taking time out of her day to look after him. She went to his showcase, which she didn't have to do any of those things. From her perspective, she was watching Shin, who had lost all motivation, finally get his motivation, and he was not even sleeping. And I think that this really does pose the question to everyone out there. When there is a child who is being abused and the people who are supposed to be caring about them, the people that are supposed to be looking after them, do not do their jobs, how much are the rest of us expected to do? When is it enough? How much of your life should you stop? If Shin wanted to move house, do you think he would really do that and leave Kotaro on his own? I don't think he would. And I think that this is what Nita actually was in this anime. Although we were very connected to Kotaro, so we didn't want her to be doing the things that she's doing, I think it raises important questions that we should think about. What is your duty as a human being to other human beings that you don't know?
I don't know, Ruka. What's the answer?
I don't think that there's a clear-cut answer.
This whole anime, took it from the stance that it takes a village.
Yes.
Yeah, it took it from that stance. So they all took it on themselves to look after Kotaro, and Kotaro is thriving. Guys, I'm gonna let you guys answer it in the comments. How much is enough to look after a human being that you don't know? But this anime looked like it had the answer, to be fair.
I don't think that anybody has the answer to that. There are actually countless children that do things like this. We had the episode where it was a flashback into Kotaro's life, where he was knocking on a neighbor's door and he made him clothes, showed him how to clean clothes and things like that. But I also want to talk about the little boy who was playing football with Kotaro. He was an older boy. Because this anime really makes you think about how many people are around you that are suffering in silence. We watched Hide starting to shake every single time an adult raised their voice. They didn't even have to be talking to him. A reaction that completely froze him up to the point where he was just standing still in his own world, shaking, because he was from a household where he was constantly screamed at to the point where it was physically affecting him. There's just countless people, children, adults out there that are in this state of suffering, and we don't even know. Like, just looking at someone wouldn't tell you their story. And this anime did an amazing job of telling that story for countless people out there.
And on that note, don't forget to like, subscribe and share.
Of course, let us know what you think in the comments.
And if you made it this far, we really appreciate you. Peace.